And I told you Chelsea were the best team in the world, and tonight we are. Get in there.
Take me to church, I worship like a dog at the side of your life. I'll tell you my sins and you can sharpen your knife. Offer me that deathless stand of good God. Let me give you my life. Take me to church, I worship like a dog at the side of your life. I'll tell you my sins and you can sharpen your knife. Offer me that deathless stand of good God.
Welcome back, I'm your host Taff, and this is Taff FC. Roman's revolving door of absolute madness has struck again, with Chelsea facing their 14th managerial casualty since 2002. Lampard being the latest victim of Chelsea's chop and change managerial system. In this video, I'll be looking at why or why not Frank Lampard should have been sacked. Now let's go back to 2019 when Chelsea were placed under a transfer ban and Maurizio Sarri led for Juventus Football Club. You know, Frank Lampard was given the job, tasked to taking Chelsea back to European football under a transfer ban, and you know, a lot of the media was skeptical about this decision because Frank Lampard only really had a year of managerial experience at Derby, and you know, it just seemed an un-Chelsea thing to do to hire an inexperienced, non-elite football manager at the time. Now we look at what he did. He brought in the youth, he brought in Mount, Abraham, Tomori, Billy Gilmore, amongst other players. You know, we were playing some high-octane, high-pressing energy football, which was a bit of Sarri's football as well, leaking into the new regime. But you know, nonetheless, at the time, it was a very, very exciting time to be a Chelsea fan. Now, zoom into 2021, January the 25th, Frank Lampard has been sacked, with Chelsea being 9th at the time of recording, being almost 5 or 6, I'll check again, points off the Premier League top 4 places. After spending, you know, 220 million on fantastic players, it just seems not to be working out for Frank Lampard. And, you know, we'll look into why it might be so. Now, first of all, you know, the biggest issue with Chelsea Football Club was a lack of tactics, really. I don't believe we had a real identity. You know, we were playing some quick football at times. Sometimes it was mundane and redundant. But at no point did I feel that we had an identity or philosophy or some tactics to fall back upon. And, you know, when you look at teams that are going through a slump, you look at City, they were going through a slump, but they always had some tactics or philosophy or an identity to refer to. And you know, now they're cruising and currently at top of the Premier League table at the time of recording. And you look at Liverpool, just won a Champions League, just won a Premier League, and they're going through a slump, but I do back them to quickly exit that slump because they, for the sole fact they have something to refer to. But you know, Frank Lampard never really had the experience or the tactical nous at most occasions for him to express what he wanted to do. You could always tell that, you know, there's a certain idea of what he wants to do, but I don't feel like he had the intangible resources to do so. Of course, he had the money, we have a world-class training facility, but I do believe, you know, there are just some sort of things that you gain over being a manager over some time, you know. Now, another thing is, he was beginning to fall out with the board because of the pursuit of, you know, Declan Rice and the board, you know, connection with Marina Granovskaya, sorry for rambling a bit, was deteriorating. So I think overall, the relationship with the board and the current performance of the Chelsea team just led them to feel that, you know, Frank Lampard is not the man, which is unfortunate for a lot of Chelsea fans because, you know, that's my childhood hero. You know, he is Chelsea, he bleeds Chelsea. He knows what Chelsea is about. But I do believe when he was appointed, he knew what Chelsea were expecting of him. He knew what type of football club we are. Roman Abramovich is a very impatient man. Marina Granovskaya is ice cold. I think he knew. The Chelsea board also knew it would take a bit of time. But I don't think their patience was, enough for them to be seeing the club at ninth after spending 200 million, on various players. And you look at players like Havertz, you look at players like Werner. These are young, talented players, but they became shadows of their former selves, because the team is chopping and changing, mispositioning. Now there's a lack of confidence and an overall lack of dressing room atmosphere at the club. You could tell a lot of the times when Chelsea players were playing, other than, Mason Mount and the likes, I just don't feel like they were playing for Frank Lampard anymore. And when Chelsea Football Club feels that there's some sort of, dimness around the club, they very often tend to sack the manager immediately. And less than 24 hours later, Chelsea announced Thomas Tuchel. And I'll be telling you why I think it's the correct move. First of all, let's look at who Thomas Tuchel is. He is a German manager with lots of experience and a very entertaining and exciting brand of football. He's coming from PSG off the back of a UCL final, which PSG had never done until that point, despite all the money they had spent. Before that, he was at Dortmund and he won the DFB Pokal, which is Dortmund's last trophy to date. And in general, he's, the right mix of modern and experience. And why I think it's a fantastic appointment is not only because it's German and we've got, some expensive German signings that Abramovich wants to see playing well. It's also for the fact that for the longest time, Abramovich wants some sort of excitement around the club. He loves football himself. He wants to see something exciting happening around the club. And I think not many managers other than Tuchel tick all those boxes, that Abramovich would want. And he's got 8 titles to date. You look at all the players he's played under Borussia Dortmund, you think of Aubameyang, he's responsible for the player Aubameyang is now. His highest ever career tally is at Dortmund under Tuchel. He brought up youngsters like Ousmane Dembele, Christian Pulisic, Neymar and Mbappe and Di Maria had some of their best ever seasons at PSG. He sort of did convince these players to, buy into his project, to buy into his philosophy instead of going to Real Madrid, Barcelona or Man City. So, there's a lot you can say about Thomas Tuchel, systems, formations. He's a very flexible manager. If you want me to make a tactical background or a tactical analysis on him, I might do it later on in the month or later on in the year. But overall, I think there was no better appointment or no better choice for Chelsea Football Club at this point in time. I don't think there's many managers in the world better than Tuchel. Hopefully he can, do what we want for Chelsea Football Club. I'm starting to ramble a bit. But otherwise, this was a difficult video for me to make. I love Frank Lampard. I absolutely adore him. And I hope maybe in 5-10 years he'll come back with the right experience, with the right tactical news. He made a lot of tactical naivety mistakes countless times at Chelsea, which becomes frustrating. But, his legacy as a player will always live. I put a montage at the beginning because, I really liked the edit anyway. But otherwise, this is a different type of video I've made. I did this in one take. Usually I do a couple of takes, edit, cut and change. But I did it all at once. So, thank you for watching. I'll leave my Instagram down below. Please follow me on Instagram, Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you. So what do you think is next for Chelsea Football Club? Do you think it's transition? Do you think it's a tragedy? Or do you think it's time for Thomas Tuchel to take Chelsea back to glory? Thank you.